Good morning. In the last class, we have learned about this positive features and negative features of Information Technology Act of 2000. Now we are going for some of the important items that we come across in this Information Technology Act of 2000. What are they? First one is digital signature. So what is this digital signature? I told you already in the last class that whenever we want to get something, we have to go for some formalities and we have to sign on so many paper documents. Thereby, our work will be served. So, like that, we learnt in the last class. Instead of going for that, and means wasting your time, okay, you can take into account this digital signature. So, what is the importance of this digital signature, and what is this digital signature? All these things will come across. And when you are going for digital signature, we will come across this private key and public key. Private key is especially for the person who is going for digital signature, and public key is nothing but for the verification of the signature with other signatures. So, first of all, we have to learn about this digital signature and what is a private key, and after that, we'll go for public signature. A digital signature is one of the methods of encryption used to provide authentication. That is, it is a way for us to go for authorization. Authentication, in one's way, it is nothing but the authorization of ours. Encryption used to provide authentication. The main idea of the digital signature is to protect the message or data for modifications. The main idea of the digital signature is to protect the message, whatever it may be the message or whatever it may be the data that was there, it should be ready for modifications to protect the message or data from modifications. Okay. Basically, it is a kind of asymmetric cryptography used to support the security properties of a handwritten signature on paper. I mean, what is the basic this thing of this digital signature? Basically, it is a kind of asymmetric, not symmetric, asymmetric cryptography. Cryptography. You see, when you go for this cryptography, whatever it may be the cryptography that you are coming across, it is for yours, and it cannot be copied or it cannot be hacked or it cannot be destroyed under any circumstances. Okay, it is nothing but asymmetric cryptography used to support the security properties of a handwritten signature on paper. How you are writing on a paper, how you are signing on a paper, in the same way you have to sign on an electronic device, and that electronic device it will take that and it will just creep that. So it is nothing but cryptography, one type of cryptography which cannot be copied, which cannot be destroyed, and which cannot be hacked by any other person. That is, in one word, we can say that there won't be any forgery. Whatever it may be, the signature that you are doing on a paper, the same signature will be taken into account, and that will, okay, satisfy all the things, and it is yours only. Handwritten signature on paper. The digital signature provides two algorithms. One algorithm is for signing, which requires the user's secret or private key, and the other algorithm is for verifying signatures, which requires the user's public key. Okay, you will come across two types of keys, private key and public key. Private key, okay, to keep your data or whatever it may be the signature in secrecy, and The second thing is, okay, just taking into your digital signature and verifying whether any other type of signature is there or not. That that is nothing but, in one way, in one word, we can say that it is nothing but a comparison with public keys, because you won't be the one person, okay, who will have this digital signatures. So many people, they will take into account this digital signatures and they'll do that. And everyone, they will have their private key of secrecy, for maintenance of secrecy. And when you go for the public, okay, you have to take into account your signature with that of other signatures. So the digital signature provides two algorithms. One algorithm is for signing, which requires the user's secret or private key, and the other algorithm is for verifying signatures, which requires the user's public key. The result of the signature is called the digital signature. Okay, when it won't tally, okay, then automatically we can say that it is your digital signature. The sender writes his draft of contract into an email and applies a special function known as hash function on the message. See, when you go for this digital signature, what is the process that we come across? All these things I'm going to explain that. The sender writes his draft of a contract into an email and applies a special function known as hash function on the message. This creates the checksum of the information, uses its private key that encrypts this checksum by applying its private key obtained from public private key authority. The encrypted message becomes the digital signature of the message. This the checksum and the message is sent to the receiver. Okay, the sender writes his draft, okay, on a contract into an email and applies a special function known as hash function on the message. Hash function, HASH, hash function on the message. This creates the checksum, okay, of the information, uses its private key, okay, that encrypts this checksum by applying by applying its private key obtained from public private key authority. You will have separate public key, private and public key authority. So for that, this message along with the private key, it will go. Okay, this encrypted message becomes the digital signature of the message. Okay, it will become the digital signature of the message. The checksum and the message is sent to the receiver. Okay, the other person, the receiver, he will take that. Okay, at the other end, the receiver receives the message and the checksum and makes sure that the message is undamaged from sender. Okay, the receiver, he will take that message. Oh, I mean, at the other end, the receiver receives the message and the checksum and makes sure that the message is undamaged from sender. The receiver applies the same hash function on the received message. This produces a checksum, uses public key to decrypt the checksum it received with the message. Okay, the receiver applies. Then what will happen is the receiver also it will apply. And sir, you may ask me, sir, what is this you are telling and we are hearing? And when you go for this digital signature, you will understand. They will explain everything. Okay, whatever it may be the message that you come across, whatever the message that you are sending, and whatever it may be the message received by the other party, he will also do the same thing. Okay, and this thing, in order to protect the sender. Okay, that is just the main thing that you will come across. When you come across this digital signature, when you come across the digital signature once, you can use that for any number of times or for anything. Okay, the receiver applies the same hash function on the received message. This produces a checksum, uses public key to decrypt the checksum it received with the message. The two checksums are then compared. Okay, if they are matching, then the received message is undamaged and signature is valid one. Otherwise, the message is changed and signature is invalid. This is about the digital signature. You see, you are sending the message and you are doing your this thing, signature. Okay, and when it is in the middle, when it is disturbed or when it is damaged, then the receiver, what he will do is he cannot. That's why again the receiver he will do the same thing. Okay, what he will do, the same hash function he will send, and then they will compare these two things, the sender's message as well as the receiver's message. And when these two things, when the message, when it was undamaged, then automatically you will come across this digital signature. So this is nothing but completely an electronic process. This is nothing but a completely electronic process that you will come across. So this process you have to undertake and you have to go. Otherwise, it will be very difficult because every person they'll go for digital signatures. Okay, don't be of that opinion that one or two persons or 10% they'll go and do this digital signature. Okay, compulsory digital signature is essential at present. Okay, when you are having this digital signature, automatically you can do anything or you can go for any work. And this same signature it will be taken over there. There is no necessity for you to sign more papers or more documents. This digital signature automatically it will be. And one thing, you will have already I told you that you will have a private key as well as a public key. Private key to maintain secrecy of viewers, and public key is especially to compare your this thing with others. Okay, the two checksums are then compared. If they are matching, then the received message is undamaged, and then the received message is undamaged, and signature is valid one. Otherwise, the message is changed and signature is invalid. It is not valid. Now, when you apply for digital signature, okay, when everything goes correct, when everything is goes correct, then the authority, that is private public key authority, they will give a certificate, and that certificate will call that thing as digital signature certificate. Okay, so let us go for that. Digital signature certificates, these are the certificates used to verify one's identity when he or she is doing any transactions on the internet. Okay, so these are the certificates used to verify one's identity. Identification should be there. So one's identity when he or she is doing any transactions on the internet. These certificates are issued by a trusted third party called as Certificate Authority (CA). Okay, we'll call that thing as certificate authority. One authority is there, and that authority it will give this. Whenever when it will happen, sir, when it will come, whenever you are going for online transactions, whenever you are going for online transactions, and whenever you are going for the e-commerce transactions, that is a trusted third party called as certificate authority CA. A digital certificate contains the user's name, a serial number, a copy of the certificate holder's public key, expiration data, and also the digital signatures of the certificate authority. These are the things, these are the contents that we will come across in the certificate. Once again, I'm telling you, A digital certificate contains the user's name, first one, a serial number, a copy of the certificate holder's public key. Okay, they'll give a public key. Okay, expiration, expiration of data. That is when the data is going to be expired. Expiration of data, expiration data, and also the digital signatures of the certificate authority. So you will come across five contents in that digital signature certificate. In order to issue the digital signature, the certifying authority shall comply with the provisions along with the following. So it will take into account the provisions, and it will see that. The first one is the certifying authority provides the digital signature certificate only when the subscriber submits, submits the application provided by certifying authority. This application need to be approved by certifying authority for the issue of the certificate. That is, whomever it may be, they are going to go for this digital signature certificate. That is, we'll call them a subscriber. Okay, whenever he wants that digital signature, first of all, he has to give an application. That's what the first point tells us. The certifying authority provides the digital signature certificate only when the subscriber submits the application provided by the certifying authority. This application need to be approved by certifying authority for the issue of the certificate. Now, the second one is the authority shall not issue any interim digital signature certificate. Interim, in middle. Whenever the process is completed, okay, whenever the certifying authority, when it satisfies, then only you will get the correct digital signature certificate. And once if you get this digital signature, you can go for anything. That is, you can enter into e-commerce transactions or online transactions. And the third one is, in order to issue the certificate, the certifying authority may look for the receipt of an authorized subscriber who made request for new digital signature certificate or digital signature certificate renewal. Like how we are doing this bus pass renewals. In the same way, after the expiry of the digital signature certificate, okay, you can renewal that. So that thing also we have to take into account, because okay, you will come across renewals. And for example, if you take into account the bus pass system, some people they'll go for renewals and some people they'll go for fresh issue of this bus passes. In the same way, the certifying authority also, it will take into account the new ones to whom they have to give, and as well as the renewals of after expiry. Okay, whatever it may be, the renewals for that also they will take into account. In order to issue the certificate, certifying authority may look for the receipt of an authorized subscriber who made request for new digital signature certificate or digital signature certificate renewal. Okay. Now, fourth one, if the digital signature certificate is suspended or revoked, it is to be ensured that the certificate must contain the information which is sufficient enough to identify the repository, repos, respos, uh, repositories. Yeah, sometimes the digital signature certificate will be suspended or revoked. Okay, revoked, taken back. It is to be ensured that the certificate must contain the information which is sufficient enough to identify the persons, okay, who are going for that. Next, fifth one. The subscriber identity method used for issuing the digital signature certificate shall be specified under the certification practice statement, and it is accountable to the approval of the controller when the license is applied. Yeah. The subscriber identity method. Okay, who is the subscriber? We have to identify that. The subscriber identity method used for issuing the digital signature certificate shall be specified under the certification practice statement. Okay, they have a separate statement. Okay, that is nothing but certification practice statement, and it is accountable to the approval of the controller when the license is applied. So you have to take the approval of the controller. Okay, when you apply it. Next, the certifying authority allows the subscriber to verify the contents of the digital signature certificate before it is accepted by the subscriber. Okay, how we are going when you want take into account, for example, just give a small example. When you are going to change the Aadhaar card, when you are going to change the address of the Aadhaar card, when you are making that, the person who is typing, who is entering the information, they will ask you to see whether the information provided is correct or wrong to us, and we have to check up. It is our customary duty to check up whether he entered whatever it may be the information that we had given, whether he entered correctly or not. It is our responsibility. It is our responsibility, because if you just say that this thing is the information and if you sleep, okay, automatically he may, okay, because he is not concentrating on you, he has to answer to so many persons. So it is your customary duty to verify whether he entered the data in a correct manner or not. Okay, that is it. The certifying authority allows the subscriber to verify the contents of the digital signature certificate before it is accepted by the subscriber, because it won't be, I mean, cancelled, or it won't be restated. The certifying authority provides a person a new digital signature based on another originating digital certificate. Yeah. How the other person, because suppose take for example two persons. One person he got this, okay, certificate. So the second person has to get that. So basing upon the information, okay, they will take go for this. The certifying authority provides a person a new digital signature based on another originating digital certificate. After that, the certifying authority may investigate to figure out if it is obligatory to suspend or revoke the newly issued digital signature certificate. Okay, this is the thing that it was done by the certifying authority. Okay, we will think that it is very easy, Amma. We'll think that it is very easy, but this process must be done, okay, when we are going to get this digital signature. When you are ready for this process, when you are going to uh, accept the process, what they are doing, it is not an ordinary thing, because okay, once if they have done, then there won't be anything to cancel that. So that's why they'll take so many precautions before giving this digital signature certificate. On acceptance of issued digital signature certificate, the certifying authority will keep a copy of the certificate in a repository. Okay, suppose if the certifying authority, when it is satisfied and when it had given the digital signature certificate to the subscriber, they'll keep a copy of that, okay, repository, okay, with them, because they have to tomorrow they have to verify that. Understood? They have to verify that whether this person is genuine or fake. Okay, that is the thing. After issuing the certificate, if the authority finds any facts that may affect the reliability, it will inform to the subscriber. Okay. After issuing the certificates, if the authority finds any facts that may affect the reliability, it will inform to the subscriber. It is their duty. The certificate authority, they will do this. A designated expiry date is must for all the issued certificates. So, like how we are having on the commodities an expiry date, in the same way, okay, the expiry date will be mentioned on the certificate. And after the expiry of the date, it is the duty of the subscriber to go for renewal of the digital signature certificate. Okay. A designated expiry date is must for all the issued certificates. Okay, this is the thing that we come across about this digital signature certificate. Now, we are going for the next thing, that is electronic signature. So, what is this electronic signature? It is defined as an electronic sound, symbol, or process attached to or logically associated with a record and executed or adopted by a person with the intent to sign the record. Okay, it is defined as an electronic sound, symbol, or process attached to or logically associated with a record and executed or adopted by a person with the intent to sign the record. So everything, you may take the sound or you may take the symbol or you may go for process logically associated with the record and executed or adopted by a person with the intent to sign the record. According to the according to section 3A of the 2000 Act, an electronic signature would be considered as authentic if in it is a if in case if it is regarded as reliable, b if it is mentioned in the okay electronic this digital signature. Okay, the electronic signature would be regarded as reliable if it meets the following conditions. What are the conditions that we come across? Okay, all these things we have to take into account. Okay, first one is the authentication data should be written. The should be written. The context linked with the signatory should be within the context. Sorry, the authentication data should be within the context linked with the signatory. Okay, whatever it may be, the data that is giving it should be within the context, within the limit, within the context linked with the signatory. The authentication data should be within the control of the signatory at the time of signing. Whatever it may be, the data that is given by the person. Okay, it should be within the limits. It should not go beyond the limits. The authentication data should be within the control of the signatory at the time of signing. Third one is the alteration made after affixing the electronic signature must be detectable. Okay, it should be detected. Whatever it may be, the alteration. Suppose if you forget something and if you want to alter that thing also it should be detectable. The alteration made after affixing the electronic signature must be detectable. Then the fourth one is the alteration made after the authentication. The alteration made after the authentication of electronic signature must be detectable after that. Okay. Next, it must meet all the conditions which are given by the central government. Okay, whatever it may be, the central government. Okay, it gives. Okay, it keeps the conditions. So it must meet all the conditions which are given by the central government. The method for verifying and ascertaining the method for verifying and ascertaining the electronic signature authentication is prescribed by the central government. So the central government people, they will verify the method of verifying and ascertaining the electronic signature authentication, because this is not a easy thing. This is not an easy thing. Tomorrow, if anything goes wrong, the whole thing will be suffered by all the people, not only the receiver, not only by the sender, by the other people also, because they have to take keen observation and careful this thing. Because this is not a fun sake. This the electronic signature or the digital signature. It is not for fun sake, and it is not a kid's game. You must have so much care. You must be very careful in taking the electronic signature, providing the data regarding that, and everything that is electronic digital signature certificate and electronic signature, whatever may be the things that you are giving, sound, symbol, or any other ways, all these things they must be related to the person who is giving, who wants to take that. So this is not a kids game, or this is not for fun sake. Everything you must be very careful. The method for verifying and ascertaining the electronic signature authentication is prescribed by the central government, not the state government, please. Like, for example, I'm going to give you a small example in this context. When you are going for this PAN card, there should not be any strike offs, there should not be any overwriting. Whatever it may be, the data that you are giving to get the PAN card to the central government, because central government authorities only they will provide this main PAN card. So there you should not do any, I mean, silly things. You have to provide the correct data, correct information, and that information that they will ask whether it is a declaration. They will ask a declaration whether it is correct or genuine according to you. So all these things, how they are satisfying, in the same way, we have to take into account this digital signature, digital signature certificate, and electronic certificate, electronic signature. So tomorrow we are going to continue the other things. Thank you.